Well, take a look. That was the scene in Hendricks County, Indiana on Wednesday when multiple vehicles smashed in after a semi-truck driver and an Indian illegal immigrant allegedly ran a red light, killing another driver. That Indian illegal immigrant, his name is Singh Sukhdeep. He was caught and released at the border in 2018. It was during the first Trump administration. He was a child at the time, a minor. The crash Wednesday is the second one in the state this month involving an illegal immigrant. So for more, let's bring in Indiana Governor Mike Braun, my governor of the great state of Indiana, the Hoosier state. Welcome to the program. So I'll just ask you about this because the Department of Homeland Security was asked why this guy was let into the country, and they blamed the 1993 Flores consent decree, which they say orders the DHS to release minors into the country if they cross the border illegally. But should he have been driving? Should he have gotten his CDL? And are you changing anything from here on out?
So most of that issue has been with CDLs that they've been handing out like through a slot machine out in California. But it shows how that can happen anywhere. And I don't know where he got a CDL, but I've authorized the state police to be ramping up just routine traffic stops. And we're finding enough of it to where when we do vet the drivers, they are not documented properly. And the other complicating thing is documents. They're so good at faking them, you don't even know. But this is cropping up enough. Most of it has come from states that weren't really interested about the rigor of what you do to get a CDL. It shows it can happen anywhere, and now we've had 2 fatal incidents in our own state.
You are in town for the big governor's meeting. There's a big gala tonight, but the breakfast kind of stole the show yesterday because that is when the president found out about that big Supreme Court ruling on his tariffs. And I've been hearing from all sorts of people, different governors, about the reaction. So I'll have you take us inside the room. What happened?
Well, last year at that breakfast, it was a little back and forth between the president and the governor from Maine, if you remember it. Priceless. Here, we were into the Q&A part of it, and it had already been a fairly long breakfast, and it was I think in the middle of the first question, a note was taken to the podium. He read it, and you could tell he was not happy. He answered one more question, and then said, I think the Q&A is over.
Yeah, he was done.
He was done.
It kind of soured the meeting.
Yeah, and I think that the whole thing that Trump's been trying to do is remedy something since the Marshall Plan, when we rebuilt the global economy. We've not had reciprocity on tariffs, and now the Supreme Court, I think, has made the wrong decision because there'll be other ways to get to the fact we just want an even playing field, free and fair trade. So you could see already he was not going to let that stop what he's been doing.
Well, he just announced 15% global tariffs. You know, you've been a business owner. That was the one unique thing about you on Capitol Hill.
There aren't many of us that went there and with that background.
So how do these tariffs impact small businesses in Indiana?
So if you're caught in one of the industries that you're dealing with that went global, took the supply chain there, it's hard to get around it. Many companies knew that if you're going there, especially if you want to tap their own consumer market someday, you've really gotten invested in the Chinese economy. Most don't, but when it has occurred, it takes a while to go somewhere else to get that product made. So, but getting tariffs down to where they're the same for the reciprocity, Trump's right on the money, and we need to keep doing it free and fair. If you impede our goods coming into your country, expect it from us in response.
I cannot let you go without talking about that Indiana might be getting the Chicago Bears football team, which is, I mean, absolutely mind-blowing as a Hoosier. So you pitched this plan to the Bears. They're considering it, maybe coming across the border because Chicago's not that far. It's right across the border from Hammond and Crown Point, the region, as they call it. You got a shout out from the former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich here. Let's play it here.
I think it's become a lot more real over the last couple of days than it ever was before. The Indiana legislature did what it did, and it caught our governor asleep. Frankly, he's been outplayed by the Indiana governor. Governor Pritzker really is guilty of gubernatorial malpractice. And this isn't the first time a major business is about to leave Illinois. Just think about what's happened to our state in the last couple of years. In 2023, 218 businesses left Illinois.
He's been outplayed by the governor of Indiana. How close is this? Is this really happening?
It's nice to get a compliment like that. It's true. We got people moving in from there to Indiana. Our GDP growth, by the way, is twice that of Illinois. So this is dereliction because they've been trying to work with the state, with the city for 3 years. Finally, the Bears came to us about 5 months ago because they were running out of room to actually get the next deal done. When they took a peek at what it's going to be like doing business in a state that's business friendly, they are looking at it for far more reasons than the fact that they've been rebuffed by their own government.
Okay,
so we'll see. We got it across a hump. We got some due diligence to do, but we've been spending a lot of time. And when you saw our state legislature enable it with their strong statement, that was the one thing I required so that was honest brokering on both sides. That's what's got them upset because they dropped the ball.
Okay, so really quickly, break the news here. What would be the name of this? Would it be the Hammond Bears? What would you want to name them?
Chicago Bears. That's an iconic name, just like the Jets
in Indiana?
and the Giants play in New Jersey. We're after a great franchise to have a better home. And by the way, the stadium, the tailgating, all the things you could do in Indiana, you'll get a lot better stadium and complex built because the dollar goes a lot further.
All right, the Chicago Bears could be coming to Indiana. Governor, great to have you. Great to see you.
Good to be on.
Okay, get home safe.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.